What if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, Roman emperors and ancient philosophers had already figured out the perfect way to handle toxic people? While modern psychology is just catching up, the Stoics had developed a complete system that could make any toxic person powerless against you. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire while dealing with assassins, backstabbers, and political enemies, never once let toxic people disturb his inner peace. Today, I'm going to share with you the 13 ancient strategies that made the Stoics emotionally invincible, and by the end of this video, you'll have a complete toolkit to handle any toxic person in your life with them. Grace of a philosopher and the strength of a warrior. Strategy 1. Become a master detective of toxicity. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to drain your energy the moment they walk into a room? The ancient Stoics understood that awareness is your first line of defense. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote about the importance of observing human nature without judgment. When you can spot the warning signs, constant criticism, manipulation tactics, and energy vampires, you transform from a passive victim into an alert guardian of your own peace. The Stoics taught that it's not what happens to you that matters, but your judgment of what happens. Master this skill, and you'll never be caught off guard again. Strategy 2. Build unbreachable emotional walls. What made Marcus Aurelius so powerful wasn't just his political authority. It was his ability to set boundaries that even emperors respected. The Stoics understood that boundaries aren't mean, they're essential. When you clearly define what behavior you will and won't accept, you create what the ancients called your inner citadel, a fortress that no toxic person can breach. But here's the secret most people miss. Boundaries without enforcement are just suggestions. Learn the art of firm but fair communication, and watch how quickly toxic people start respecting your space. Strategy 3. Master the ancient art of becoming boring. This might sound strange, but one of the most powerful weapons against toxic people is becoming completely uninteresting to them. The Stoics called this indifference to external stimuli, but modern therapists have named it the gray rock method. When you stop providing the emotional reactions that toxic people feed on, something magical happens. They lose interest and move on to easier targets. Seneca himself practiced this technique in the Roman Senate, remaining calm and unresponsive to political attacks until his enemies gave up trying to provoke him. Strategy 4. The broken record that drives manipulators crazy. Have you ever noticed how manipulative people try to wear you down with endless arguments? The ancient Stoics had a brilliant counter-strategy: repetition with unwavering calm. When Epictetus taught his students about personal freedom, he emphasized that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. By calmly repeating your position like a broken record, you short-circuit their manipulation tactics. They expect you to get frustrated, to explain yourself, to give in, but when you just keep stating your truth with stoic composure, their entire strategy falls apart. Strategy 5. never take the emotional bait again. Imagine toxic people as skilled fishermen, constantly casting lines baited with insults, guilt trips, and provocations, hoping to hook your emotions and drag you into their drama. The Stoics mastered the art of swimming past these baits without even being tempted. Epictetus distinguished between harmful apathy and powerful indifference. You're not becoming cold and uncaring. You're choosing not to let their negativity control your emotional state. When you stop taking their bait, their fishing expedition ends in failure. Strategy 6. Silence as your secret weapon. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Sometimes the most powerful response to toxicity is no response at all. The ancient Stoics understood that silence could be more devastating to toxic people than any argument. When you choose strategic non-reaction, you're not being passive, you're being powerfully selective about where you invest your emotional energy. Toxic people expect a reaction. When you give them nothing, you disrupt their entire playbook. Strategy 7. Create your personal force field. Even the strongest castle needs a moat for extra protection. The Stoics taught that you can't always avoid toxic people entirely. You can always control your exposure to them. Physical distance when possible. Emotional distance when necessary. This isn't about being antisocial, it's about being strategically protective of your mental energy. Just as you wouldn't willingly stand in a toxic waste dump, why would you voluntarily absorb emotional toxicity when you have a choice? Strategy 8. Assemble your philosophical army. Marcus Aurelius may have been emperor, but he surrounded himself with wise advisors and fellow philosophers who supported his Stoic principles. Even the strongest person needs allies. Your support system becomes your Stoic phalanx, a formation of trusted people who share your values and can provide perspective when toxic people try to make you question reality. These relationships remind you that not everyone is toxic, and they serve as emotional shields against negativity. Strategy 9. Become your own best guardian. The Stoics viewed self-care not as luxury, but as essential maintenance for your philosophical practice. When you're well-rested, emotionally centered, and physically healthy, toxic people lose their power to destabilize you. Think of self-care as sharpening your sword and polishing your armor. You're preparing for battle against negativity. The stronger your foundation, the less impact toxic people can have on your inner peace. Strategy 10. See through their emotional theater. Here's a profound realization that will change everything. Toxic people's behavior is rarely about you. The Stoics taught prosophe, the ability to step back and observe situation objectively. When someone is constantly negative, critical, or manipulative, they're usually projecting their own internal struggles onto the world around them. You're just a convenient target. Once you understand this, their insults and negativity lose their sting because you recognize them as symptoms of their own inner turmoil, not accurate reflections of your worth. Strategy 11. Abandon the savior complex. One of the most liberating Stoic principles is accepting what you cannot control, and other people's choices definitely fall into this category. Many compassionate people exhaust themselves trying to fix toxic individuals, but the Stoics understood that real change must come from within the person themselves. Your job isn't to be their therapist or their savior. Your job is to maintain your own virtue and peace. Lead by example. Offer resources if appropriate, but never sacrifice your well-being for someone who isn't ready to change. Strategy 12. Know when. Retreat is victory. Sometimes the most courageous action is walking away. The Stoics weren't passive. They were strategically wise about when to engage and when to withdraw. If you've tried everything and a relationship continues to damage your mental health, choosing to leave isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. Marcus Aurelius faced many enemies, but he also knew when to avoid unnecessary battles. Your inner peace is your sacred sanctuary, and protecting it sometimes requires tactical retreat. Strategy 13. Free yourself through forgiveness. The final Stoic strategy might surprise you. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. Carrying resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The Stoics taught that harboring negative emotions only gives toxic people continued power over your life, even when they're no longer present. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning their behavior or reconciling with them. It means releasing yourself from their emotional prison of anger and resentment so you can move forward with a lighter heart. If these 13 ancient strategies resonated with you, imagine how much more powerful you could become with deeper Stoic wisdom. I've created an entire library of content exploring Marcus Aurelius's daily practices, Seneca's stress management techniques, and Epictetus' teachings on emotional freedom. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss life-changing wisdom from the greatest minds in history. Drop a comment below sharing which strategy you're going to try first. I read every single comment and love connecting with fellow seekers of ancient wisdom. And if this video helped you see toxic people in a new light, please share it with someone who needs these strategies. Together, we're building a community of modern Stoics who refuse to let negativity control their lives. Remember, you have more power than you realize, and the ancient philosophers are here to help you claim it.